In the Hispanic civil rights movement, many battles had to be fought and won in order to be at where we are now. The Hispanic civil rights movement gave birth to many organizations that empower the people to fight against injustice. One such organization celebrates this year 25 years of service. Over the past 25 years, the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute has had a tremendous impact in promoting education, leadership development, and Latino unity. But to truly understand its relevancy in Latino history, one must start at the beginning, when it was merely the dream of one man. The migrant farm fields was where young Juan Andrade worked alongside his family. His dream was to be a teacher.
I happened to be the first Latino teacher in the United States arrested for speaking Spanish in a classroom. And of course, I was teaching civics, something about freedom of speech and freedom of expression, only to find myself on the third day charged with violating several laws in the state of Texas. So that was the beginning of the end of my teaching career.
Life was preparing Juan Andrade for a larger classroom. In the following years, he would be involved in educating migrant farm workers and in voter registration.
It was from that experience that I got the idea that in the Midwest, we could create an organization that would help empower Latinos and similarly disenfranchised groups by registering to vote and participating in the electoral process.
Juan seeks the help of three Hispanic leaders, Hank Lacayo, Rey Gonzalez, and Willie Velasquez. Hank Lacayo had dedicated most of his life to labor rights and activism within disadvantaged communities and had a key part in supporting rights movements in the United States, including working with Cesar Chavez to support farm worker rights.
He showed up in Detroit, and I got a telephone call from a security guard saying that there's a tall Mexican-sounding man with a cowboy hat with a funny accent, and his name is Juan Andrade or something like that. And so he came up and we met, and he started telling me about his idea about creating an organization that would be helpful to the Latino community in the Midwest.
Rey Gonzalez was a young activist who had devoted his talents to the empowerment of the Hispanic community.
It was the early 1980s, and I was working for the National Council of La Raza, and I was told by my boss at that time to go to Detroit and meet the new director. We were going to start a new project out of Chicago called the Midwest Voter Registration and Education Project, and the new director was going to be a gentleman by the name of Juan Andrade. So I went to New Detroit, was the name of the organization, and I was waiting in a room, and in comes this gentleman, very robust and happy and full of life, and he walks in the room and he says, "Hi, how y'all doing?" And I sat there and I said, "Well, where are you from?" And he goes, "I'm from Texas." And I said, "You're going to be working in Chicago?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to come work with you in Chicago." And my first thought was, "Geez, this guy will never make it in Chicago."
Willie Velasquez, the founder of the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, was perhaps the most respected activist of his time. His involvement with Latino organizations was extensive, and his passion for voter registration intensive. Willie Velasquez died in 1988, but not before helping to shape what is now the USHLI. Nelson Diaz, who was a special assistant to Vice President Mondale and a dedicated fighter for the rights of Puerto Ricans and Latinos, was asked to join the board.
Without much support and without much ability to get any financing to do this, Juan Andrade took this on by himself. And so I became the 5th board member, and that was back in 1978, and I've been on the board ever since.
Jack Otero, a founding member of the Labor Council for Latin American Advancement, vice president of the AFL-CIO, and an advocate for workers' rights, also joins the board.
Juan Andrade was a dynamo. He was the man who led all of us. Even though I was president of LACLA, I felt that my leader was Juan Andrade, and that's why I became very actively involved in the activities of what today we call the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute.
The conference that our organization has sponsored now, going on 25 years, was not part of the original plan. What happened was that I went to a meeting in Texas that called the leaders together from around the country, and about 300 of us showed up. And so I was very encouraged by that and wondered if we couldn't do something like that in Chicago. And so we did. That was in August, and by November we had our first conference in the same year. And we just threw it open for people to come from around the country. And we thought if we could get 300, we'd be in great shape. 674 showed up. We were astounded. We couldn't believe that so many people would come. And of course we weren't prepared to accommodate so many people, but that was the beginning of a great problem that we had for a quarter century, and that was that having a lot of people at our conference.
We have been together a long time. The first conference, it was Juan, and I was the board member from Chicago. It was Juan and I carrying the boxes and stuffing the envelopes and getting the conference material ready. And, you know, we've come a long way in 12 years.
Many unforgettable moments are part of the USHLI's 25-year history. Over the past 25 years, the Conference of the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute has grown beyond expectations, attracting over 6,000 present and future leaders.
You look at our workshops, for example, and our forums, that they're not just about topics, to talk about the issues, to talk about the problems. Our workshops are about solutions, how to. It's about skills development, so that if you want to learn how to do this, go to this workshop. How to do that. This teaches you skills. You come to the conference knowing the issues. You leave the conference knowing the solutions.
Well, I think the uniqueness for United States Hispanic Leadership Institute has been that we are 3 generations. We don't just talk to one or the other, but we bring the whole family in, and of course, specifically our elders, our older adults, our viejitos. They come and they get educated about issues that are critical to them. We started out with just a dinner, and then pretty soon we added workshops, and pretty soon we added material that was important to them, and to this day, I think it is the most effective way for us to reach all the Latinos that are in this area.
We found the conference to really be something special because of its transformative power. We have found in the conference the ability to transform people's lives. I've had professionals write to me on their way home from the conference saying I'm not the same person I was when I arrived 3 days ago. We've had people come and be inspired and motivated to go home and run for public office. They run for school board and won. They run for city council, for mayor, for county board and won, for the legislature and won. It's been tremendous.
A lot of planning goes into the conference every year, but surprisingly, it's just part of the USHLI's mission.
What we do most of the year is engage in leadership development at the local level through Project SED, our high school-based program, Students for an Educated Democracy, our college campus-based program, which we call our Collegiate Leadership Development Program for college students and faculty, staff, and administrators, our Grassroots Community Leaders Program for white-collar and blue-collar and no-collar workers, as well as local public officials, our candidate training schools that we conduct throughout the year, regional conferences, that we have in Chicago and in Philadelphia during the year as well. research on Latino political demographics. We have published over 425 studies and reports on Latino demographics, more than any organization in the country. And in the next couple of months, we are releasing 300 more studies on Latino political demographics.
You know, the impact of USHLI can be measured in different ways. Certainly in the increase of voter registration. We've registered over 1 million people in the past 25 years. We've run tens of thousands voter registration campaigns. We've ran literally thousands of leadership programs. We've done a number of things to help our community as best we could. We've had a positive impact on the growth of the Latino political movement, but on the growth of the Latino community as a whole.
In its 25 years of service, the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute has touched the lives of countless Latinos and indeed of Americans generally. When Latinos are empowered and we improve education and jobs and economic opportunity and communities, not only have the lives of Latinos been touched, but the country itself is stronger.
Juan Andrade has been the recipient of countless awards, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He has earned 5 degrees, including a doctorate from Northern Illinois University.
There's very few people that can in any way compare to Juan Andrade's dedication, commitment, time, incredible vision, ability to speak, articulate, and show leadership throughout the country. I have not seen a person who has been that dedicated for this long to the cause of empowering Latinos and Latinos of all categories. It is only limited to the Midwest. It's been in all the country, and it's been Latinos of all backgrounds, from Puerto Ricans to Cubans to Mexican Americans to Dominicans, Guatemalans. It is an incredible story to see this man from a little town in Texas come to the Midwest and make a major difference in the history of Latino empowerment.
I don't want to take anything away from our past leaders, because they did, they were pioneers in their own right. But Juan brings that energy. People come to see him perform because he's actually a performer, I think. And at the same time, they get energized and they believe in that dream that he has. He's able to show people that dream, that image that he has of how things can be done and be done better.
I think Juan has been that asset that it needed to motivate the Hispanic community into participating, into embellishing their heritage and their culture.
You sacrifice the time with your family, you sacrifice your income, and you're doing it for a good cause, but at the same time, you need to lighten up, you need to relax, because we need you for many, many years to come.
I wish there were more Juans, because we need them, and I think they're out there, and I think the organization itself is probably providing more Juans for the future. And I would say to Juan, keep going, brother, because the mission is still right, and we still need you.
I'd just like to take a minute to thank Maria Elena Andrade and Juan's kids. Thank you for sharing Juan with all of us. And Juan, I just want to say a special thanks for being my friend and allowing me to go on your journey with you. It's been a wonderful journey. Your compassion, your commitment to our community has helped to make America a better place for all of you. Thank you for the past 25 years, and we got another 25 years to go, buddy.
We love you, Juan! We all have talent, and what we do, with that talent is important. That talent that we have is God's gift to us, and what we do with that talent is our gift to God.
On behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute and the 25th Annual United States Hispanic Leadership Conference, we salute you, our present and future leaders, for making the USHLI what it is today.